Hi there. I um, I kind of want to respond by video to a few comments about what was going on in my home growing up. Um, I want to be clear that I'm sort of mixing in a little bit of um, things that might be unique to adoptees and things that are just common to everyone. I think it's uh, once you crack the psychology doorway, I think it's pretty common knowledge that every home, every family is dysfunctional, right? That once you turn the critical thinking on to your upbringing, that um, you have been shaped and grooved by your experiences, and some of those experiences naturally are not good or functional experiences, but they're going to cause you some psychological issues down the road. And to overcome those, you need to face them and you need to correct them in some way, is my general idea. Again, I'm not a psychologist. I dibble and dabble in everything to try and help myself along my own journey. So, with that being said, um, it's not the people, it's not the screening process, it's not, people being bad for being smokers or drinkers and raising children. I, to a certain degree, we're all running around ignorant, and we're all dangerous with our ignorance, I would say. Um, it, I'm basically giving everyone involved in adoption a pass, and here it is that all you need to do is pick up the gauntlet and say, yeah, adoption was wrong. We need to find a better way, and we certainly can't leave all these government employees and social workers in charge of rehoming all these children. Um, and we certainly can't leave it in the hands of corporations who want these children rehomed to be addicts to their products. Okay, so even people involved in corporations aren't necessarily evil, but there's corporations drive for profit commits evil in the name of the almighty dollar, right? So I don't want anyone to get this mentality that my adoptive parents need to be lynched or my birth parents are garbage for giving me away or um, any of these things. I'm simply talking about the events, um, the adoption triad. I'm talking about the basically the structure, how it is in place. And I mean, the drives behind that, I mean, now we're getting into mystical and religious ideologies and deities. So, I mean, if you want to call it Satan or, evil or incarnate or whatever, but I mean, it's all made up of people. And unfortunately, people do horrific things in complete ignorance all the time. I mean, me growing up in that smoking and drinking environment, well, there was nothing wrong with it. If you didn't smoke and drink, there was something wrong with you. And that's the mentality that you're born into. And until you have reason to leave that or change that, well, you're not going to know any better. And I think I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I was at an AA meeting once, and I was talking about, the stupidity in my own mind that you had this baby that you were, taking back and forth, me, to the hospital with lung failure, and you had two people smoking at home. Now, I'm not saying point the finger at those two people smoking. I'm not saying point the finger at the social worker who probably smoked and they probably did the whole deal over cigarettes. I'm not even saying point the finger at the doctor who had ashtrays in his waiting room. But at the same token, there was some people around in the day that knew what was going on with the whole smoking scam. And that same scenario happens today as well. And adoption is that scam, maybe. And there'll be another scam opened up. But the average Joe that gets, it's almost like the government has has a golden ticket to run scams on the populace is sometimes how I think of it. It's you watch these grifts, these shows like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and these shows, and they come up with these genius grifts to screw people out of their money. And it would be nice if that was the genius going into these things, like, oh, I got taken for a ride and like, let me tell you. But it doesn't seem that genius, does it? Like, I mean, when you look back, it goes, they found these addictive products and we'll get the kids hooked on it young before they know what addiction is. And we'll get rid of, the Bible and all these things in school because it talks about bondage in, your moral educations and religious educations, and get rid of that so people don't know what bondage is. Don't teach them about that. And by the time they try to quit, it's like, surprise, you're in bondage to nicotine, alcohol, heroin, whatever. I mean, psychologically in bondage. You got Stockholm syndrome. I mean, you're tied up. You're tied up. So what do you say? Like, you've been involved in the most clever puzzle known to man, life. How do you unravel this great mystery? I don't know. But I certainly, again, want to emphasize the fact that the birth mothers, here's your pass. The adoptive parents, here's your pass. Adoptees, here's your pass. Social workers, here's your pass. Doctors, everybody, here's your pass. You were ignorant. You don't have to be ignorant anymore. Some people are coming forward, i.e. me and some other people, and saying, listen, this thing that you're doing isn't right. It's causing trauma to every person you put through the process when you separate them from their mother, when you deprive them of their breast milk, when you pin them down and shove things in their ass. So I don't know about any of you other children out there of my generation in the 70s, but I don't know if that was some sort of sick rite of passage through the medical system, but I can think of no scenario where you need my temperature that badly that you got to pin me down, pull my pants down, and sodomize me to get it. Seems a bit extreme, And, if you can't tell a temperature by putting your hand on the back of a forehead, well, maybe you shouldn't be in the medical industry. I don't know. But anyways, I mean, yeah, I'm criticizing my life. This is what I'm doing. I think that at the end of the day, that's the psychoanalysis process. You're sitting down and you're looking at it objectively, and you're standing there with all the knowledge you have of today, and you're going through it with that child that experienced those things. And it's something. It's emotional. It's painful. And I apologize if I give the impression that